Hello everyone, Arun Vanagopal of WNYC here. It's my pleasure to introduce the Center for Traditional Music and Dances series, Beat of the Boroughs, NYC Online. This online series features over 50 of New York's leading traditional instrumentalists, dancers, singers, poets, and more. From Mongolia to Haiti, Colombia to the Gambia, among many others, they remind us how the strength of our country lies in its embrace of diversity and immigration. We want to celebrate these remarkable members of the New York community in these challenging times. So please enjoy these 50 programs, share them with your friends, and spread the word. Enjoy the show.
Hello, thank you, Andrew, for having me. Thank you, Beat of the Boroughs, NYC Online, for this. My name is Gilbert Mansour. I'm a percussionist. I live in New York. I've been playing percussion for the last maybe 25 years, maybe more. I'm from Lebanon originally. I started playing Middle Eastern percussion at the age of 9, and then started developing interest in Latin percussion and other types of world percussion. I came in 2010. I got a scholarship to come to Berklee in Boston, Berklee College of Music. I finished my undergrad and my master's over there. I play a variety of styles. I play flamenco. I'm so much into flamenco now, so much into Arabic classic music, the very traditional stuff. After the war in Lebanon in 1991, my parents were looking for some activity for both me and my brother to just like distract us from what was happening. And then they said, okay, music, because we had a neighbor who plays violin. And that's how we started. We both failed at violin, but we both became professional musicians later. I chose percussion just randomly and then developed the love of the instrument later on. And I've been doing this for most of my life. So after trying to study violin in the conservatory, we went for like a placement test. Both me and my brother, we failed because we had no idea what violin was, or like anything. Coming out of like from a war, and like music was something strange. So they suggested, like the administration in the conservatory, like that we start studying something else, some other instrument. I chose percussion because I had a cousin who plays percussion and he was like banging on doors and stuff. I was like, okay, that's cool. Let's do that. And my brother chose guitar because we had an uncle that had a guitar, and it started by being just like, an activity that you have to go after school and do your homework. But then like later on, you start developing more interest and like loving the music. And and that's how I finished my studies in Arabic percussion, the Darbuka, the Rōōtes, and then started doing Latin percussion. At that time in Lebanon, there was a new teacher coming back from France. He's Lebanese but living in France, and he was good at. He was like his thing. It was Latin percussion. So I started doing more other stuff. So some of the most famous Arabic percussion instruments are the Darbuka and the Rōōtes. I'm going to start with the Rōōtes because it has a major role in Arabic music. So that's the Rōōtes. It looks like a tambourine. Traditionally, it has fish skin. Now we use less and less of fish skin because plastic is more reliable. So the Rōōtes in the early 1900s had a very important role in a group, in the bands, which were like 5 or 6 musicians. At some point, it used to be the leader of the group. It had the role of counting in for the group, keeping the time, and all of this. Later on, it became less and less as a leader of the group, but still one of the major elements in Arabic music, the Rōōtes. Maybe like in the 1940s, bands started expanding from like 5 or 6 musicians to bigger bands, and that's when was the need for more percussive instruments, and they started adding the darbuka, or sometimes the frame drums. That's the darbuka. Let's see if we can hear it. So the darbuka became one of the major instruments along with the rake, and later on developed to be the instrument for belly dancers, you know, and with a close relationship to dance and belly dance. Now you barely find groups without both instruments. It's always like these two and plus more percussive instruments. So in Arabic percussion, we describe all sounds that are like bass, as we call them dum. And you have the high-pitched sounds, we call them tak, with the left or with the right hand. The same goes for rake. You have the dum, and then you have the tak, and the slap, the sak. So these are the most important sounds. And like among the most important rhythms, we have, I'm gonna just name a few. So you have a rhythm called wahde, which is, it's a very repetitive rhythm that's used a lot when somebody else is improvising. So let's say you have the vocalist improvising, or you have the oud or the kanun improvising, and the rhythm goes like that. Usually it's slow. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So it keeps going like that, you know, repetitive, no fill-ins, no nothing, just like to create a vibe and a nice support for the soloist. And it sounds really nice, usually on rake. So that's called wahde. Another very popular rhythm, and it's mainly used in like more upbeat and more dancey stuff, is called maksum, and it goes like that: 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna do it on the dumbek as well. Something to note about playing in a section, in a percussive section in Arabic music, usually Berklee, Darbuka, or rake and frame drum, they all play the same groove. We're playing the same groove, just on a different instrument. For example, in African percussion, or in the percussion from the Gulf, from the Khalij area, like Dubai or so, each instrument plays a different pattern, and they all lock together. But in Arabic music, all these instruments are playing the same rhythm, same exact rhythm, you know, but in a different texture, different sound. And that's what creates like a nice percussive section together. We're gonna hear a piece I played with an orchestra, with the National Arab Orchestra. I'm playing this on rake. It's called Fakaroon. It's an old composition by Muhammad Abdul Wahab. The interesting thing about this piece is that it has a lot of rhythm changes. You know, usually in different, like let's say we're playing funk music, you have few rhythms changing during one song, maybe 2, 3, but in Arabic music, in that song, there's more than 10, you know, and this is what's challenging about it. We're gonna see it next. So next I'm going to show a video of me playing Darbuka along one of the most famous Rick players in the Arab world. His name is Michel Merhij, who just passed away. So in the Middle East, usually we call all kinds of like the Arabic music that is pre, I don't know, maybe 1980, 1970, in terms of a style. It's not pop for us. It's mainly classical Arabic music. I mean, whatever you hear on the radio today, like the new stuff, this is Arabic pop. It can be very similar to Latin pop or like, you know, or to English pop, but the classical Arabic music is the stuff from pre 1970, and that has like different ways of performing it, different instrumentation, usually less instrumentation. You know, like like now there's drum set everywhere in Arabic music, except in the old stuff there was no drum set. Mm-hmm. You know, it was only like just percussion section and different instrumentation. And that's what, like, the early music, we call it classical Arabic music. I've been doing percussion like for a long time. After finishing my studies in Arabic percussion, I was intrigued by other stuff, by African percussion, by Latin percussion. You know, so I started studying that, and I'm always looking for something more challenging. Now I'm doing a lot of flamenco, which has a lot of dance as well, and that's a bit challenging because there's like some similarities in the style between flamenco and Arabic music, but percussion is the percussion part of it is a bit different. So I'm doing that. I've done a lot of Latin and salsa and Latin jazz, because, you know, everybody was playing all the Arabic instruments. That was great, but I was looking for something more. I'm still looking for something more. So when I was in Spain, trying to get more deep into other percussion and flamenco percussion, I created this project called Rōōtes. It's a collaboration with a lot of musicians coming from Spain, Lebanon, India, and this like summarized a journey of music, like through my learning process. We did this project. It has a lot of flamenco fusion using traditional flamenco instruments and musicians, and in the same time using the Arabic percussive instruments like the Darbuka and the rig along the rest. We released our album in 2017, and I'm gonna show one of the album songs. It's called Bulería de mi vida. I'm using over there a lot of Arabic percussion instruments. I'm using the bouzouki, which is we call also bouzuk in Lebanon. It's a traditional Arabic instrument, string instrument.
Soy como un amanecer, rosa y celeste, visto desde tu ventana. Y si tú quieres seré como el olor del café que preparé esta mañana con tal de volverte a ver, sentado sobre mi cama y decirte, cariño, despierta, date. Hay vuelta por comer, hay vueltecilla por comer, que yo me se la entretenía que morar, hablar con mi dolor. Saben a caramelo, ya caramelo me sabe tu beso me saben a caramelo, ya caramelo me sabe tu beso me saben a caramelo, ya caramelo me sabe tu beso me saben a caramelo, ya caramelo me sabe tu beso me saben a caramelo, ya caramelo me sabe tu beso. Mi pasión y mi vida, se me pasa los días, siempre será mi adoración, se me da pura fuerza para disfrutar de mi amor. Mi pasión y mi vida, se me pasa los días, siempre será mi adoración, se me da pura fuerza para disfrutar de mi amor. Mi pasión y mi vida. Se me pasan los días, siempre será mi adoración, Señor, dame tú la fuerza para disfrutar de tu amor. Mi pasión y mi vida, se me pasan los días, siempre será mi adoración, Señor, dame tú la fuerza para disfrutar de tu amor.
The pandemic has been hard on most of us musicians. We lost all our gigs, concerts. For me, I shifted towards online, as most of the musicians I was teaching. I had some private students, I had some workshops that I was doing during the pandemic, but we really missed being in a live situation, being in contact with other musicians. It has been hard. Now I'm happy that things are back or starting to get back to normal. I'm doing few concerts with some orchestras, with the National Arab Orchestra in Detroit. I'm playing with some flamenco dance companies as well here in New York and other states. But things are starting to get back on track, and that's something exciting. Thank you, Andrew, for having me and Beat of the Boroughs NYC online. If you're interested to know more about me or about Arabic music and my projects, please check the media links or the social media links below. Thank you so much.